Stop. Just stop for a moment. Pause everything. Take a deep breath. I know you feel alone right now, not just physically alone, but fundamentally alone. Like no one sees you, like no one understands you, like you're carrying everything by yourself and there's no one to help. And maybe you've been thinking, I have no one. I'm completely isolated. I'm on my own. But I need to tell you something that will change how you see yourself and everyone around you. You are not alone. You're just looking above ground. The real connection, it's happening underground. Let me tell you what you're actually feeling right now in this moment. You look around in your life and you see people living their lives. They're laughing, connecting, belonging. And then you look at yourself, sitting alone, coming home to an empty apartment, scrolling through your phone endlessly with no one to call or text. Maybe you're surrounded by people, but you still feel invisible. Maybe you're in a crowded room, but you feel completely disconnected. Maybe you've been trying to reach out, but no one seems to notice you. And so you start to believe, I'm alone, I'm different, I don't belong anywhere. But here's what you don't realize. What you're seeing above ground isn't the whole picture. Let me tell you about the loneliest period of my life. I had just turned 30 years. I was completely burned out, sick, fresh out of my 7-year relationship that had ended because I chose the startup over the relationship. I was broken. I was sad, depressed, living alone for the first time in years. I'd lost access to our dog. I'd lost shared relationships. And I realized I'd isolated myself from everyone because of that relationship. And that made me feel so alone. Back at work, things were falling apart too. There was a growing divide between me and my boss at the time, the CEO. We just weren't seeing eye to eye on most things. And suddenly, I was being siloed, moved off meetings. I was being cut out of strategic initiatives. I was walking into the company that I'd helped build from a little team of 5 people to 200, and I felt like a total stranger. Like someone who was no longer wanted in the place I'd poured everything into. Despite being surrounded by people at the office, I felt so lonely, feeling like my days there were just totally numbered. And I could feel the sword above my head inching closer and closer, and I didn't know what to do. So instead, I did something rather extreme, something that turned everyone's heads after the fact. I went down to the Peruvian Amazon jungle to do ayahuasca. I'd been thinking about it for nearly 5 years, but I just hadn't felt the calling to actually do it until that moment when the calling wasn't just loud, it was shouting. And the truth is, I needed a serious reset, a new beginning. I was losing myself in a sinking depression with no end in sight, and I needed to save myself. Down in Peru, I was at an extremely remote ayahuasca retreat, working with a highly skilled shaman from the Shipibo tribe. I didn't know anyone. I went entirely alone, almost in secret. Few people in my life, other than my immediate family and few closest friends, knew that I was down there in the remote dark depths of the Amazon jungle, doing one of the most powerful natural medicines or drugs known to humans, DMT. There were dangers everywhere, wildlife that wants to eat you, plants that want to kill you, illegal gold prospectors and drug traffickers lurking down the Amazon River who might come after you. It was a dangerous place, but it was also a place where I found myself, a place where I retook control of my life. Because that transformational experience showed me something I just couldn't see before. And that was that I was never alone, that I'd never been alone, that I've always had a deep underground network of people who not only believe in me and support me, but who truly love me for who I am, exactly the way I am. The problem wasn't that I was alone. The problem was that I isolated myself all the time. I didn't stay in touch. I didn't ask for help. I hid my fears and my problems so that I could appear well to others. I hid my struggles so I wouldn't inconvenience anyone. I hid so much of my personality, who I actually am, just to please others, to let them accept me, to fit in, when in reality, I was just harming myself. People loved me for who I was, and I wasn't letting myself see that. And that mindset led me down a vicious cycle of isolation, of depression. And the answer was simple: reconnect with the people who are already in my life. Talk to them, open up freely and honestly, ask for help, especially during my darkest moments, especially when I feel loneliest. And more importantly, I found the calling and purpose for my life: to help humanity heal. Now I had to go back to my known world and pick myself back up and find the courage to be who I already am. Because I am on a mission to help others do the same. Now I had to do it. So this entire experience down there changed my life. And it showed me something that you probably don't realize just yet. What you're seeing above ground isn't the whole picture. It isn't. Let me show you something. Walk into a forest. What do you see? Trees, standing alone, separate, each one growing in its own space, rooted in its own spot. And if that's all you saw, you'd think, oh, these trees are so isolated. They're on their own. They're not connected to anything. But scientists have discovered something extraordinary over recent years. Underground, beneath the soil, where you can't see, there's an entire network connecting every tree in the forest. It's called a mycelium network, and it's a vast web of fungal threads that link tree to tree, plant to plant across the entire forest floor. And here's what that network does. When one tree is sick, other trees send it nutrients through the mycelium. When one tree is under attack, it sends chemical signals through the network to warn the other trees, the other plants. When a mother tree is dying, it transfers its resources to younger trees before it falls. So they're not separate. They're actually connected. They're taking care of each other underground, where no one can see. And that's you. You look around and you see people standing alone, living separate lives, and you think you're isolated. But underground, in ways you can't even see or imagine, in ways you don't even realize, you're connected to everyone around you. Now, let me tell you why you feel alone, even though you're actually not. It's because you're looking above ground connection. Most real connection happens underground. Above ground is the visible stuff, the texts, the plans, the conversations, the acknowledgments. And when you don't see that, you think, I'm alone. No one cares. But underground, that's where the real connection lives. It's the coworker who noticed that you seemed off today and didn't say anything, but thought about you all day long. It's the friend who's been meaning to reach out, but is dealing with their own stuff right now. It's the stranger who saw you struggling, perhaps on the street, and sent you silent, good energy, even though you'll never know it happened. It's the person seeing this right now who feels exactly what you're feeling and realizes that they're not the only one feeling it. That's the mycelium network. That's the underground connection. And it's there, whether you see it or not. So you're not alone. You're just looking in the wrong place. Let me tell you about a night when I discovered that the network was super real for me. I was driving back to Austin from McAllen, down in South Texas, after celebrating Christmas with my family. That's a 5-hour drive. And I've, done that so many times. You go through the remote savannas up to the rolling hills of central Texas. Personally, I prefer driving at night, less traffic, less anxiety. On the way, I stopped for gas on the outskirts of San Antonio, bought a snack, then I got back in the truck. Red Suburban that had belonged to my parents for many years, and they gave it to me. I couldn't afford my own car yet, so that's what I had. And then the truck, it just wouldn't start. The battery kind of worked, but the engine, nothing. It was 8 p.m., pitch dark. It was cold, very cold, and I was off the highway, practically in the middle of nowhere. I'd never dealt with a car breakdown before, and so naturally I started panicking. A family traveling from Mexico to Dallas stopped at the gas station to pump gas. They asked me if I needed help. They then tried to jumpstart the car. It didn't work. Their 2 little children stood there looking at me with curiosity, wondering what I do. After a while, they had to just leave to continue on their trip, and I was there at the gas station. My phone was almost dead. I was terrified. And then I noticed the signs everywhere in that gas station. Cars left unattended will be towed. And I started panicking even more. If they towed the truck, I would lose it. My parents would lose it. So then what happens? The gas station attendant who'd been watching this whole situation for a while, she came outside. She looked at me in the eye and she smiled. Sweetie, you're not alone in this. Don't worry, they won't tow you. If you need to leave the truck here, that's totally fine. I've already contacted the tow company. You're good. Don't worry. I almost broke down right there. A stranger, someone who owed me nothing, and she was already protecting me. So then I called my parents. They were 4 hours away. And without hesitation, they said, we're on our way. No ifs, no buts, no questions asked. My dad, he told me, and I will never forget this, that he said in Spanish, we're on our way. Hang in there. Stay warm. We'll get to you in no time. Don't worry, son. We love you. You're not alone. And those words made all the difference. I didn't feel scared anymore. Then I got a random call from a college friend who lived in my building back in Austin. And he told me a few days later that he'd had a feeling, an urge that he didn't know why, but he felt like he needed to call me. And I explained what was happening, that I was stranded, that my parents were already driving all the way up from South Texas to San Antonio. And he told me, I'm actually still in San Antonio. I'm with my parents for the holidays. You're more than welcome to stay. So this friend, he drove out to the gas station about half an hour, past 10 p.m., picked me up, took me to a diner. We had a late dinner. We hung out until my parents arrived, probably past midnight. And when my parents got there, they thanked my friend deeply for taking care of me in this moment. And he told them, I would do anything for Armando. He's my friend, and I'm glad I could help. And that night reminded me of something I'd totally forgotten. The gas station attendant who protected me, the friend who felt the urge to randomly call, the family who tried to help, my parents who drove 4 hours without hesitation. I wasn't alone. There were people thinking about me, worrying about me, feeling pulled to help me, even when I didn't know it. There's a whole world of connection looking out for me, praying for me, thinking of me, even when I can't see it, even when I can't feel it. That's the mycelium network. And it was there the whole time. I just had to activate it. So let me tell you what you actually are. You're not a solitary tree standing by itself. You're part of the mycelium network. Every thought you have, every struggle you face, every moment you survive, it's sending signals through that vast network. Other people feel it, even if they don't know it's you, even if they can't name it or put their finger on it. Your pain resonates underground. Your resilience inspires underground. Your survival strengthens the network. And here's what most people don't realize. You're not just receiving from the network. You're actively feeding it. Every time you keep going when you want to quit, you're sending nutrients to someone else who's struggling. Every time you show up when you feel invisible, you're strengthening the roots of someone who's about to give up. Every time you survive another day, you're proving to the network that survival is possible. You think you're alone because no one's reaching out above ground. But underground, you're holding up people you've never even met. So here's what I need you to do. Stop waiting for above ground validation. Stop thinking you need someone to text you or to show up at your door to prove that you're not alone. Trust the underground connection. You're part of the network. You've always been a part of it, and you always will be a part of that network. And if you want to feel it more strongly, reach out. Even once, even small, send a message to someone you've been thinking about. Send them a link to this video. Leave a comment on a post that resonated with you. Do something. Tell someone, I see you. I feel you. You're not alone. I'm here for you. Because here's the secret. The mycelium network only gets stronger the more you use it. The more you reach out, the more connection flows back to you. The more you send nutrients, the more you receive. And if you need a reminder, if the loneliness feels too heavy today, leave a comment down below. Just 4 words. I'm in the network. Say it out loud. Because when you name it and you feel it, you realize you were never alone. You were just looking above ground. So remember, you're part of something bigger, something invisible, something that's been holding you up this whole time. You're in the mycelium network. You always have been. So don't doubt it, because you're not alone.